Welcome to International Securities Exchange's podcast series. Facilitated by renowned educators, ISE podcasts are intended to teach beginning as well as seasoned investors the ins and outs of trading. To find an updated list of podcasts, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts. Please be sure to listen to our important message following this episode regarding the risks of investing in exchange-traded options.
Welcome. This is Steve Meisinger, your host for today's ISE webinar. Today I'm pleased to present John Person. John is our special guest.
Good to go.
John's going to be talking about top techniques to improve your timing for directional ISE FX option strategies. John has been in the business about as long as I've been in this business, I guess around 3 decades or so. And he's written a number of books. So he's been a trader on the floor. He's written books, and now he's the founder. He's been the founder of the nationalfutures.com. So you can go to his website. He's going to talk more about all his services. But John, I just want to thank you. How are you doing?
Well, you know, we've been busy, and thank you very much for that kind introduction. ISE, you have certainly a lot of great products, and hopefully today. Most people, Steve, hear on the news about the dollar this and the dollar affecting that, and you know the dollar is against what you said, foreign currencies, and so hopefully today we're going to give people's awareness to your products, Steve, and a great exchange that they can trade these products through, and we'll see if we can give some insight and help to people and investors looking for some better returns this year.
Well, that's great, John. So I know you started out on the floor, and then how did you actually get into this? I mean, you're a successful trader. What brought you into education and everything you do now?
Purely by accident and by popular demand. I owned a brokerage firm. I was training brokers. I had a manual that I put together to train my brokers the way I wanted them trained. I didn't feel that, in my own experience, I didn't want traders looking at or reading the Wall Street Journal. Mainly, I've been interviewed in the Wall Street Journal, and half of what I say doesn't come out right. So I wanted my brokers to develop a sense of trading based on price action and give them a better edge in the market. And after my brokerage firm, I was training brokers at the Chicago Board of Trade, to be honest with you, a lot of members, and I developed a presentation at the Chicago Board of Trade. And from that, it evolved and spread. And the next thing you know, people wanted that presentation, Steve. And then I published a book. And then the next thing you know, we're now in my second year with the Commodity Traders Almanac, 3 books later. And my specialty of trading using candles and pivots and a unique way of looking at pivot analysis and moving averages. And one of the things that that I was introduced to some 28 years ago, being a commodity trader, Steve, was looking at price movements and supply-demand cycles, or what we call seasonal tendencies of markets. And it's interesting to note that we're going to show this today, folks, that the currencies actually do follow a methodology of seasonal patterns. And it's interesting to note, while the euro currency's only been around 10 years, now 11, it really does follow not 100% predictability, but a pretty decent way of looking at seasonal supply and demand forces, as does the British pound. And since the British pound in the last few weeks, in fact, since the late April, we've seen tremendous move in the pound, and I think we're going to see further opportunity. Today, Steve, I'm going to take what's my forte of trading in the markets using some moving average secrets, some seasonalities, combine what I've been taught and been using and developing for over 29 years now, and try to put together to your audience in 1 hour. And from start to finish, I got into business, as you say, from the floor. The techniques that I used when I first started in the industry back in 1977 are the same techniques that I use to this date. And I find that amazing because we have new markets, new volatility levels that are unbelievable. And in fact, a lot of the predictability that we are getting, believe it or not, comes from some of the stuff that we're going to cover with you folks today. So, Steve, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's certainly I'm among a good class of people that the ISE has brought in to help educate investors And hopefully today's presentation will follow up with my predecessors.
Oh, I'm sure it will, John. You always do a great job, so we're looking forward to it. Thanks again for joining us.
Well, thank you. So we'll start with mainly, folks, to let you know, I'm sure Steve did a great job. He's a high caliber person in of himself, and quite frankly, part of what we look for when we're trading is opportunity and to put the edge in ourselves. Most of the trades that we do is mainly, for at least myself, folks, I look for a risk-reward ratio. I look for a low-risk, high-reward, or a high probability. And I think in trading in today's market, FX is such, we're seeing incredible levels of volatility. I'm not sure if I could take a poll. How many people, if they could reply, are currently trading foreign currency products in one form or another? Okay, so we're already getting a blast of response here. Excellent. And you know, sometimes when you look at foreign currencies, whether you're trading them or you're not trading them, if you're a stock trader, for example. Now, I heard Steve mention earlier that to look at the ISE's products, they're based in dollar denomination. So we're looking at the dollar versus the British pound. We're looking at they're more like dollar indexes against a British pound or a dollar index against the euro currency. They're dollar denominated based products. You need to be with a securities firm to trade them. So if you're trading spot Forex, you have to have an open account. Some of you folks may find, as I do, some frustrating situations, and I'll give you one. As of recently, we were looking for a sell in the British pound last week. The British pound, in fact, there was a little too much volatility. Futures prices were, it was a little bit from a risky standpoint, and options just were a little bit overpriced. Looking at the ISE product, you had another choice, and I think that's the key. If you have a little bit of education, number one, and at least you have the know-how that you have other choices, you can tackle the problem by taking advantage of certain situations. Now, I think as a trader, that's part of the battle right there to become a profitable trader is A, be selective in your trade setups, number one. Number two, what's the risk, what's the reward? Many times, if you've traded options before, you understand that you've picked the right strike, you've picked the right direction. The problem is, by the time the market moved, you've actually either broken even, made a couple bucks that didn't make it worth your while, or even, in fact, lost money through time decay with the options. And that's part of the problem. In other words, they've been overvalued, and the expansion in the value of the option exceeded the norm, so to speak. And so by the time the market move takes place, it's been priced in, sort of, that we kind of mentioned. With ISE products, I've been finding some very good opportunity. So I wanted to bring your attention to looking at some of these trade setups. And I want you to, as we go forward, if you've never traded ISE products, start looking at them. All right? Now, I'm not going to teach you everything about it. I'm going to focus on one market, and I'm going to focus on one market right now because I believe we're coming up to some decent opportunity. In fact, yesterday I produced this PowerPoint presentation, and already today we've seen part of the move I was anticipating. But I think that from now until year's end, we're going to see continued opportunity, and I want to show you how you can combine a game plan by taking a look at these real-time situations in the market.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. To find more podcasts on options, stocks, alternative markets, and market data, please visit www.ise.com/podcasts.